Welcome my beautiful friends. If you are sitting in the quiet of your room tonight, carrying a weight in your chest that you cannot quite put into words, take a long, slow breath. Let your shoulders drop. Let the tension in your jaw dissolve, and allow the heavy demands of the day to slip away into the dark. Tonight, we are going to explore a burden that so many of us carry without even realizing it. Deep within a land of rolling green hills and ancient, whispering forests, there lived a young wanderer named Kenji. To anyone passing him on the road, Kenji looked like an ordinary traveler, except for one striking detail: he carried a massive, worn leather backpack that was so incredibly heavy it caused his spine to curve, his shoulders to bruise, and his eyes to remain permanently fixed on the dirt beneath his feet. The backpack was packed so tightly that its leather seams were constantly on the verge of snapping, yet whenever Kenji found a new, jagged stone along his path, he would stop, pick it up, and force it inside the pack. These were not ordinary rocks. Each stone represented a moment of pain, betrayal, or failure from Kenji's past. There was a dark, jagged piece of basalt he had picked up the day his childhood friend turned their back on him. There was a cold, smooth river stone from the night his greatest dream fell apart, leaving him feeling utterly hollow. There was a sharp, rust-colored sandstone fragment from a bitter argument that had left deep, unhealed wounds in his heart. For years, whenever someone hurt Kenji, or whenever he made a mistake that he couldn't forgive himself for, he would collect a stone. He believed that by carrying these physical reminders of his pain, he was protecting himself. He believed that if he kept the weight of his past close to him, he would never be foolish enough to let his guard down again. But the mountain Kenji was trying to climb did not care about his reasons. He was journeying toward the peak of the Whispering Wind, a sacred summit where travelers were said to find absolute clarity and peace. As the trail wound higher into the steep, rocky cliffs, the air grew thin, cold, and sharp. The path became a narrow ledge of crumbling shale, demanding perfect balance and effortless movement. With every step, the immense weight on Kenji's back threatened to pull him over the edge. His knees trembled violently, his breath came in ragged, painful gasps, and his heart hammered against his ribs like a trapped bird. He was so exhausted by the sheer effort of carrying his past that he could no longer appreciate the breathtaking beauty of the valleys stretching out below him. He could only see the dust and the stones immediately in front of his blistered feet. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in deep bruises of purple and amber, a thick, freezing mist rolled in from the northern peaks. Fearing he would lose the trail in the dark, Kenji searched for shelter and spotted a tiny, old wooden cabin perched precariously on a cliffside. A warm, inviting amber light spilled from its small windows, and the faint, sweet aroma of roasting barley tea drifted through the cold mountain air. Kenji dragged himself to the heavy wooden door and knocked. It was opened by an old woman named Saya, whose face was lined with the deep, gentle folds of a lifetime spent in quiet contemplation. She looked at Kenji's exhausted, pale face, and then her eyes drifted down to the monstrous leather backpack weighing down his shoulders. She did not ask him his name, nor did she ask where he was going. She simply stepped aside with a warm, knowing smile and invited him inside. The cabin was a sanctuary of absolute simplicity. A small stone hearth crackled in the corner, casting a cozy, dancing orange glow across the polished wooden floorboards. The only furniture was a low wooden table and a few woven straw mats. Kenji let out a shaky sigh as he carefully unbuckled the heavy leather straps of his backpack, letting it slide to the floor with a massive, dull thud that shook the entire room. The relief of detaching the pack was so intense that Kenji felt momentarily dizzy, as if his body didn't quite know how to exist without the pressure of the straps digging into his chest. Saya set down 2 steaming ceramic cups of hot tea on the low table and gestured for him to sit. For a long time, they sat in a comfortable, healing silence, listening to the gentle patter of the mountain rain beginning to fall against the wooden roof. After Kenji had finished his tea, his hands wrapped around the warm clay cup, Saya looked toward the massive leather bag in the corner. "You carry a very loud silence inside that pack, young traveler," she said softly. "The mountain ahead is steep and unforgiving. It asks for empty hands and a light heart. Why do you choose to climb it with a mountain already strapped to your back? Kenji looked down at his cup, a familiar shadow of defensiveness rising in his chest. These stones are my history, he whispered, his voice heavy with a weariness that ran deeper than his physical exhaustion. They are the lessons I have learned from the people who hurt me, and the reminders of the mistakes I must never repeat. If I leave them behind, I am afraid I will forget who I am. Saya nodded slowly, her eyes reflecting the gentle flame of the hearth. She stood up, walked over to her kitchen corner, and brought back a beautiful, old wooden bowl that had been meticulously mended with delicate lines of gold lacquer. She placed it gently between them. Look at this bowl, Kenji. It was once shattered into many pieces. When I put it back together, I did not keep the sharp, broken shards of wood that cut my fingers during the repair. I did not glue them to the outside of the bowl to remind myself of the accident. I simply mended the cracks, and let the broken fragments go back to the earth. If I had insisted on keeping the sharp pieces attached, the bowl would be too heavy to hold, and it would cut anyone who tried to drink from it. She leaned closer, her voice soft like a rustling leaf. We think that by carrying our pain, we are keeping ourselves safe. But a shield that is too heavy to lift eventually becomes the very thing that crushes us. You are not protecting yourself from the future, Kenji. You are simply keeping the past alive in every single moment of your present. The people who hurt you have long since moved on, yet you are still carrying the stones they gave you, allowing them to dictate how high you can climb. The word struck a silent chord deep inside Kenji's soul. He looked at the massive leather bag in the corner, suddenly seeing it not as a collection of protective lessons, but as a self-inflicted prison. He realized with a sudden, painful clarity that his exhaustion did not come from the steepness of the mountain path, it came from the sheer, relentless energy it took to carry his grudges, his regrets, and his grief up every single slope. The next morning, the storm had cleared, leaving the mountain air crisp, sweet, and incredibly quiet. The first golden rays of the sun pierced through the pine trees, turning the morning dew into millions of sparkling diamonds. Kenji stood at the edge of the cliff overlook outside the cabin, his massive leather backpack resting on the dirt beside him. With trembling hands, he unbuckled the top flap of the bag. He reached inside and pulled out the dark, jagged basalt stone, the stone of his friend's betrayal. He held it up to the morning light, feeling its cold, heavy reality. For years, he had cherished the anger this stone gave him. But now, he simply looked at it, took a deep, deliberate breath, and said, I forgive you, and I let you go. He opened his hand. The stone fell from his palm, tumbling down into the deep, misty abyss of the canyon below. He listened as the sound of its falling faded into absolute nothingness. A strange, light sensation bloomed in his chest. Encouraged, Kenji reached back into the bag and pulled out the cold, smooth river stone of his shattered dream. He looked at it, acknowledging the grief of what could have been, and gently tossed it over the edge, returning it to the mountain. Next, he pulled out the sharp red sandstone of his bitter arguments, the heavy granite of his self-doubt, and the countless tiny pebbles of daily anxieties he had swept up along the way. One by one, he gave them all back to the earth. With every stone that left his hands, Kenji felt a physical shift. His posture naturally straightened. His chest expanded, allowing him to take the deepest, cleanest breath of air he had taken in years. The tight, defensive knot that had lived in his stomach for a decade slowly began to untangle and dissolve. When the bag was completely empty, he picked up the light, hollow leather pack, strapped it loosely to his back, and turned to look up at the summit. The climb was entirely different now. Kenji moved with an effortless, fluid grace. He no longer kept his eyes glued to the dirt. Instead, he looked up, marveling at the towering green pines, the vibrant mountain wildflowers, and the eagles soaring high in the endless blue sky. His feet felt light, almost as if the mountain itself was gently pushing him upward. By the time he reached the sacred summit, the wind was whispering softly through the grass, carrying no echoes of the past, only the beautiful, open promise of the present moment. He stood on the peak with empty hands, a quiet mind, and a heart that was finally light enough to fly. My beautiful friends, as you prepare to close your eyes and drift into sleep tonight, let us sit together in the warmth of this truth. I want you to take a gentle, honest look at your own heart. What is the weight of the backpack you have been carrying through your days? How many heavy, jagged stones of old regrets, past betrayals, or unhealed heartbreaks are you dragging into your tomorrow? We often carry our pain because we are terrified of what we might be without it. We confuse our scars with our identity, believing that if we let go of the anger, the grief, or the shame, we will somehow lose a piece of ourselves. But the truth is, you are not the stones you carry. You are the sky that holds the storm. You are the river that flows around the rocks, not the rocks themselves. You do not need to carry the weight of yesterday to be safe tomorrow. You do not need to punish your spirit by replaying old arguments, harboring old resentments, or reliving old failures. The people who hurt you cannot heal you, only your own willingness to drop the weight can set you free. Tonight, let this be your sanctuary. As you lay your head down on your pillow, imagine opening that heavy leather pack. Take out each worry, each old grudge, and each painful memory, and gently lay them down on the floor beside your bed. Tell yourself, I have carried you far enough. I do not need you anymore. Let your chest rise and fall in a slow, natural rhythm. Allow your spirit to feel the absolute, weightless comfort of empty hands and an open heart. Close your eyes, let go of the heavy baggage, and drift into a deep, beautiful, and tranquil sleep. Take care of your beautiful soul, protect your inner peace, and until we walk this quiet path together again, peace be upon you.